Dear students, today we shall know about the theme of a very popular novel in your syllabus, novel Around the World in 80 Days. Children, Around the World in 80 Days is a travel adventure novel. Travel adventure involves exploration. Children, exploration is the action of exploring a new or an unfamiliar area, and to explore means to travel through. It's a travel with a certain degree of risk and physical exertion. This novel is written by French author, novelist, poet, playwright Jules Verne. In French, we can name him Jules Verne. This was published serially in 1872 in Les Temps, a Swiss French language daily newspaper. This novel was published in book form in 1873. This is one of the most celebrated and acclaimed novels of Jules Verne. It is publicly praised and well-liked novel. The mood of the novel is of adventure and excitement of travel. Also, mood is of challenge and struggle against the odds in the travel. Children, here we find the adventures of Phileas Fogg and his domestic help, Passepartout. In French, we can pronounce him Passepartout. This is a simple narrated novel, neatly portrayed plot with the title of the book itself, Around the World in 80 Days. The simple plot provides a strong foundation to the wide range of experiences in the journey of the main two characters in the novel. Let us know about the major characters in this novel. Children, Phileas Fogg, a British gentleman, the hero and the chief protagonist in the novel. Passepartout, the newly employed French valet, that is, the personal attendant as well as the domestic help of Mr. Fogg. Mr. Fix, a detective. Auda, a Parsi Indian orphaned princess. There are many minor characters in this novel. Some of them are James Foster, old domestic help of Mr. Fogg, Phileas Fogg's partners at the Reform Club, British Consul of Suez, Chief of Bombay Police, the guard on the train to Calcutta, the Indian owner of an elephant, Parsi guide, procession of priests, Judge Obadiah, and some others. You will come to know about them while reading the novel. Children, I am here to let you know about the theme of the novel in a nutshell. The story begins at England. We are introduced to Phileas Fogg. He goes to the Reform Club regularly to play whist. That is a trick-taking card game. He plays this game with the other club members over there. Mr. Fogg is a part of Reform Club. Reform Club is an elite social organization. Mr. Fogg reads in a newspaper in the club that it is possible to travel around the world, the globe, in 80 days with the opening of a new railway section in India. No one believes this news is true. Only Phileas Fogg believes this news. Other members in the club raise a challenge. Mr. Fogg has strong thirst for exploration to spend his leisure time. Mr. Fogg seems confident, courageous, inspiring, disciplined, diligent, hardworking, and positive person to afford all means of crazy adventures. His friends challenge him. Mr. Fogg begs his friend to circumnavigate the world in 80 days on a £20,000 wager or bet set by his friends at the Reform Club. He leaves the place immediately. He begins his journey from his home city of London along with his newly employed personal attendant or his domestic help, Passepartout. Passepartout is an honest, tolerant, loyal, brave French valet of Mr. Fogg, who accepts Mr. Fogg as his master in the journey. He's a comic person too and becomes very dear to the readers with his good sense of humor. Phileas Fogg takes the venture. Phileas Fogg departs from London by train at 8:45 p.m. on 2nd October in 1870, accepting the challenge of his friends in the club. He must return to the club by the same time on 21st December, just 80 days later. Children, all the members of the club wonder how can Mr. Fogg circumnavigate the globe in short span of 80 days. Mr. Fogg and Passepartout go through Brindisi, Suez, Bombay, Calcutta, Hong Kong, Yokohama, San Francisco, New York, and finally Liverpool. Mr. Fogg and Passepartout experience many adventures during their strenuous journey. They face many ups and downs, hurdles, problems, barriers, impediments during the journey. Throughout the entire journey, Mr. Fogg keeps himself to his goal of making it around the world in 80 days. He continues his journey being calm and composed and tolerant and tries to reach his goal. He is determined to preserve his honor and wants to prove his worth to the members of Reform Club, his challengers. He spends a huge amount of money for his long journey to prove that he is not out to obtain richness. To him, honor is more important than money. Yes, to him, honor is more important than money. Mr. Fogg and Passepartout they overcome all the problems encountered by them by using their quick thinking abilities. Every complicated problem is solved by them by innovative way. Children, the main plot is based on Fogg's travels. Subplots in the novel support the main plot or the central theme. The subplots are interweaved with the main plot. Yes, Mr. Fix, the detective, follows Fogg all over his travel. Here we find a beautiful subplot. Mr. Fix, the detective, believes that Mr. Fogg is the bank robber who has robbed a great sum, huge amount from the Bank of England. There is a major bank robbery in England around some time that Mr. Fogg leaves for his journey. Mr. Fix, the detective, comes to the wrong conclusion that Mr. Fogg is a bank robber and he's pretending to travel around the world when his real purpose is to escape the law. He is on travel to cover up his crime. He hurries travel from one place to another to avoid his situation. It is thought by the detective Mr. Fix. Actually, a similar look person robbed the bank in England. Detective Fix thinks that he is that robber. So, he is also on movement to follow Mr. Fogg. He puts obstacles in Fogg's path so that he can arrest him whenever he gets the warrant by the legal authority from England. Children, another important subplot is while traveling through India, Mr. Fogg comes across a princess. Her name is Auda. She is being forced to end her life for the sake of her dead husband. She is a Parsi Indian princess who is orphaned at her early age. She is married to an old Raja and people force her to commit the sacrifice of her life with her dead husband. She is rescued by Mr. Fogg and Passepartout. She is thankful and to both of them, she goes back with them to England with the feeling of her gratitude. At the end of their journey at London, Mr. Fogg confesses his love for Auda and they decide to get married. The sub-theme of Fogg and Auder's love adds romantic interest to the story. Children, in Calcutta, Mr. Fogg and Passepartout are arrested and sentenced to prison because of Passepartout's entrance into the Malabar Hill Temple in Bombay. As per the opinion of the priest, Passepartout commits a mistake here. It is not known to him at all that he must not enter the temple putting on shoes, or being a Christian, he must not enter a Hindu temple. Mr. Fogg pays bail for them. They board a steamer bound for Hong Kong. Fix arrest Fogg at Liverpool, and this delays their travel. Phileas Fogg thinks that he has missed the deadline and has not reached London in time, when in reality he reaches a full day earlier. Thus, Mr. Fogg wins the bet. During the journey, the focus of the author remains on the experiences of Mr. Fogg and his companion Passepartout. The places that they pass through are described very briefly. Places are not given much reference. They just form the background to the activities of Mr. Fogg. The main plot is based on the nature of the challenge that he needs to travel around the world in 80 days. Children, by the end of the trip, Phileas Fogg realizes the importance of human relationships, both in the form of love with Auder and friendship with Passepartout. Mr. Fogg gets a new understanding in human relationship from this travel as a gift in his life, which ends his solitary life after getting beautiful Auder as his charming wife. Children, the most important theme in this novel is time. Phileas Fogg's bet is a race against time. Time works for them in travel. Sometimes time spoils their plans. Finally, time turns out to be what wins his bet in the end. Children, finally, we really appreciate the qualities of our hero Phileas Fogg's courage, bravery, determination, perseverance, tolerance, quick solving ability, presence of mind, and power of adjustment. Also, we must praise Passepartout for his loyalty, obedience, courage, and tolerance. I want you to read this novel and enjoy it. Write to me and see you very soon with my new video. Wish you all the best. Have a nice time.